Strip her dignity. These people need to learn their place in civilized society. Sarah Carter's voice cut through First National Bank's marble lobby like a blade. Her manicured fingers pointed at Keisha Washington, a black woman in a simple blazer and pearls now forced into a chair like a criminal. Jake Rodriguez yanked Keisha's arms behind the chair back. Patterson activated electric clippers, their metal teeth hungry for humiliation. Wealthy white customers formed a circle, phones raised, eager for the show. "Please," Keisha whispered. "I'm just here for banking business." "Your kind doesn't do business here," Carter sneered. "You embarrass our establishment." The first brutal stroke sheared through carefully maintained natural hair. Chunks fell like casualties onto a pristine floor. A child giggled. An elderly man nodded approval. But 3 hours later, Keisha stood in that same bank's executive boardroom. Her scarred scalp caught fluorescent light. Her leather portfolio held documents that could destroy lives. They had no idea who they just humiliated. 11 a.m., 3 hours earlier. Keisha Washington pushed through First National Bank's glass doors, her natural hair bouncing in a professional twist-out that had taken 40 minutes to perfect. The burgundy highlights caught morning sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Her simple black blazer fit like armor, understated but expensive. Pearl earrings, her grandmother's legacy, caught the light. The downtown Chicago branch buzzed with typical Monday energy. Business executives in $1,000 suits hurried between marble columns. Elderly customers clutched deposit slips with arthritic fingers. College students waited nervously for loan consultations. Keisha approached the main counter, her leather portfolio, custom Hermes with subtle KW monogram, tucked professionally under her arm. "Good morning. I need to review some quarterly account documentation." Sarah Carter looked up from her computer terminal. Her expression shifted like weather, professional courtesy melting into cold assessment. Carter's eyes traveled from Keisha's natural hair to her simple outfit, calculating worth in milliseconds. "Excuse me." Carter's voice carried new ice. "Can I help you with something?" The question hung heavy with subtext. Not "how may I help you," but "what are you doing here?" "I need access to business account records for our board meeting this afternoon," Keisha repeated calmly. Behind the counter, teller Jennifer Walsh nudged her colleague Luis Morales. Both stared openly at Keisha's hair, the kind of unprofessional gawking that made other customers uncomfortable. Chen stepped from behind her desk, arms crossed defensively. "Ma'am, this is a professional business establishment. We maintain certain standards for our clientele." 11:05 a.m. The word standards landed like a slap. Keisha felt heat rise in her cheeks, but kept her voice level. "I understand you have policies. I'm simply here to conduct legitimate banking business." "Your appearance." Carter paused, choosing words like weapons. "This isn't a beauty salon or community center. Our customers expect a certain professional environment." Near the loan officer stations, Marcus Johnson, a 22-year-old Northwestern student, recognized the familiar rhythm of discrimination. His grandmother had warned him about moments like these. Quietly, he activated Instagram Live on his phone. "Something's happening at First National," he whispered to the camera. "This lady's trying to do banking, and they're giving her problems about her hair." His initial audience, 23 followers scrolling during lunch break. Security guard Jake Rodriguez drifted closer, his hand resting on his radio. At 6'3", with prison tattoos peeking from his uniform sleeves, Jake commanded intimidation through presence alone. His eyes fixed on Keisha like she'd triggered some internal alarm system. "Is there a problem here, Mrs. Carter?" Jake's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to removing people. "Just ensuring our standards are maintained," Carter replied, her confidence growing with backup nearby. 11:08 a.m. Keisha checked her phone discreetly. The screen displayed her calendar. Board meeting, 2 p.m., Q4 review. 3 hours remained, but tension was consuming precious time. "Ma'am," Carter continued, "perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a different type of financial institution. There's a check-cashing place on South State Street that might better accommodate your needs." The suggestion hit like acid. Around them, conversations quieted. White customers glanced between Keisha and management, some nodding approvingly at Carter's handling of the situation. Marcus's live stream viewers jumped, 23, 67, 147. Comments began flooding in. This is 2025, not 1955. Get her, Marcus. Someone call the news. Mrs. Dorothy Williams, a 73-year-old black woman who'd banked here for 40 years, watched from the customer service area. Her hands shook as she recognized the performance, the same theatrical discrimination she'd endured decades earlier. "Young lady," Mrs. Williams called softly to Keisha, "you hold your head high. Don't let them diminish you." Chen whirled around. "Ma'am, please don't interfere with bank operations." The dismissal of an elderly customer sent whispers through the lobby. Even privileged white patrons felt uncomfortable watching Mrs. Williams being silenced. 11:12 a.m. "I need to speak with your manager," Keisha said firmly. Her voice carried new steel, not aggression, but unmistakable authority. "I am the manager," Carter snapped, "and I'm telling you that your appearance violates our professional standards. Either fix it or leave." Behind them, Marcus's stream exploded with viewers. 147, 312, 498. His whispered commentary drew digital witnesses from across Chicago. "Y'all, they're straight up discriminating against this lady because of her natural hair. This is wild." The collision of social media and old-school prejudice created electric tension. Carter remained oblivious to the digital documentation building around her. From the executive offices, regional manager David Patterson emerged, a 48-year-old former college football player whose expensive suit couldn't hide his working-class origins. Patterson had clawed his way up through ruthless adherence to traditional values and saw threats everywhere. "What's the disturbance?" Patterson's voice boomed across marble floors. "This individual refuses to comply with our appearance standards," Carter reported, like a soldier delivering intelligence. Patterson sized up Keisha in seconds. Black, professional but not wealthy, natural hair, simple clothes. In his mental calculation, she represented everything threatening about changing demographics and shifting power structures. "Ma'am," Patterson addressed Keisha with performative politeness that fooled nobody, "we maintain certain expectations in this establishment. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable somewhere that caters to your community." The coded language hung in recycled air. Everyone understood. Nobody acknowledged. 11:15 a.m., Marcus's stream hit 876 viewers. Local Twitter account at Chai Rights noticed the feed and began retweeting clips. Hash banking while black started trending within Chicago's social media ecosystem. Keisha's phone buzzed. "Executive assistant. Reminder. Board meeting materials in portfolio." Patterson noticed her checking the device. "Running late for something?" That's what happens when people show up unprepared for professional environments. His assumption that she was some low-income customer scrambling to handle basic banking revealed the prejudice driving every interaction. "Sir, I'm simply trying to conduct business," Keisha replied. "I have proper identification and legitimate banking needs." "Your attitude is becoming disruptive," Patterson declared. "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who creates disturbances." The threat escalated everything. Jake positioned himself directly behind Keisha, close enough that she could smell his cologne mixed with morning coffee. Other customers began recording discreetly, sensing history unfolding. In her portfolio, Keisha's documents awaited CEO identification, board meeting agenda, quarterly reports, executive memos, but the revelation seemed premature. Let them show their true nature first. "Final warning!" Carter announced loudly enough for the entire lobby to hear. "Comply with our standards or leave immediately. We will not tolerate disruption of our business environment." Keisha stood surrounded. Patterson blocking her front, Carter commanding from the side, Jake looming behind, customers watching, phones recording, social media documenting. She appeared trapped, exactly where they wanted her. But appearances, as they would learn, could be devastatingly deceiving. 11:18 a.m. The stage was set for something none of them expected. 11:20 a.m., the point of no return. Patterson's jaw tightened as he studied Keisha's defiant posture. 3 warnings ignored, professional courtesy exhausted. Time for action. "Sarah, this individual clearly doesn't understand respectful behavior in a business environment." His voice carried the cold authority of someone accustomed to absolute compliance. "Perhaps we need to provide some hands-on education about appropriate professional appearance." Chen's eyes brightened with predatory excitement. She'd been itching for this moment, the chance to put an uppity customer in their place while an audience watched. "Jake," Patterson continued, his tone casual as ordering coffee, "go get the grooming supplies from your office. Sometimes people need visual demonstrations of what professional standards actually look like." The security guard hesitated, his hand hovering near his radio. "Sir, are you certain we should— Did I ask for your opinion?" Patterson's voice cracked like a whip across marble floors. "Get the clippers, now!" Marcus's live stream exploded as viewers grasped what was happening. His follower count surged from 876 to 2,134 in 30 seconds, comments flooding faster than he could read them. "No way," he whispered into his phone. "They're not actually gonna— This is insane." 11:21 a.m. Jake returned from the security office carrying electric clippers, the same ones used for trimming bulletin board displays. The weight felt wrong in his hands, but Patterson's glare eliminated any remaining resistance. "Bring that chair over here," Carter commanded, pointing to a leather seat from the customer consultation area. She dragged it into the lobby center like preparing a stage for a performance. The scraping sound echoed off cathedral-high ceilings, drawing every eye in the building. Conversation stopped. Business transactions paused. The entire bank focused on the unfolding drama. "Sit down," Carter ordered Keisha, her voice dripping with theatrical authority. Mrs. Dorothy Williams struggled to her feet, cane trembling in arthritic hands. "You stop this right now! This is barbaric!" "Ma'am," Jake addressed the elderly woman while positioning himself behind the chair. "Please step back. This is official bank business." The phrase transformed assault into policy, brutality into procedure, official bank business, as if humiliating customers was part of their training manual. Keisha remained standing, her dignity intact despite the circling predators. "This is completely unnecessary. I can leave if that's what you prefer." "Too late for that," Patterson sneered, his voice carrying to every corner of the marble lobby. "You had multiple opportunities to show proper respect. Now you'll learn the consequences of defiance." 11:22 a.m. Chen activated the clippers with ceremonial flourish. Their mechanical buzzing filled the space like angry wasps, drowning out whispered prayers and shocked gasps from witnesses. Jake's large hands pressed down on Keisha's shoulders, forcing her into the chair with gentle but unyielding pressure. She didn't struggle, maintaining grace under pressure that her assailants couldn't comprehend. "Hold still," Carter announced loudly enough for the entire lobby to hear. "This will go much easier if you cooperate." The first clipper stroke cut deep through Keisha's professionally styled twist-out. A thick chunk of hair, representing months of careful maintenance, fell onto pristine Italian marble like a casualty of war. A child's voice pierced the tension. "Mommy, why are they hurting that nice lady?" Her mother yanked her away without answering, unwilling to witness or intervene. Marcus's stream reached 4,789 viewers, comments exploding with outrage. "Call the police right now! This is a hate crime! Someone get the address!" But inside First National's marble sanctuary, social media remained invisible to the perpetrators. 11:23 a.m. Chen worked with methodical cruelty, each clipper passing deliberate and theatrical. She wasn't cutting hair. She was erasing identity, performing dominance for an audience of customers, security cameras, and phones. "Look at this unprofessional mess," she announced to her captive audience, holding up a severed lock like evidence in a trial. "This is exactly why we maintain standards in business environments." More hair fell with each brutal stroke. Keisha's natural texture, the crown her ancestors wore before colonization taught them shame, scattered across imported stone like battlefield debris. Patterson supervised with growing satisfaction. "Much better already. Now she's starting to look appropriate for serious business." Rosa Martinez clutched her two young children closer, whispering Spanish prayers while her 7-year-old son asked repeatedly, "Mommy, why won't anyone help her?" Business executive Michael Thompson filmed discreetly while texting his attorney wife. "Federal civil rights violation happening live at First National downtown. Need legal backup immediately." 11:24 a.m. The systematic destruction continued. Carter made uneven cuts, creating deliberate asymmetry that would take months to repair. Each snip represented calculated humiliation, not grooming, but punishment. "Almost finished," she announced, like a hairdresser completing routine maintenance. Just need to clean up these rough edges. Jake's hands trembled slightly as he maintained pressure on Keisha's shoulders. This felt wrong, crossing lines he'd promised himself he'd never cross. But Patterson's authority, Carter's confidence, and the crowd's passive acceptance normalized the nightmare. Mrs. Williams wept openly from her position near the teller windows, her cane tapping against marble in rhythmic protest. 40 years of banking here, and she'd never witnessed such deliberate cruelty. Using styling scissors, Carter attempted to even out her hack job, creating new disasters with each cut. Keisha's hair now resembled the aftermath of violence, patchy, uneven, designed for maximum degradation. Marcus's live stream hit 8,334 viewers. Hair assault and banking while black trended nationally. Legal experts provided real-time commentary about federal violations. News stations monitored the developing story. 11:25 a.m. there, Patterson announced to his audience like a ringmaster concluding a circus act. Now you look like someone who understands professional expectations. Scattered applause came from 3 wealthy customers who interpreted the assault as necessary discipline. Their approval energized the perpetrators. Chen began sweeping hair into a dustpan with the janitor's efficiency. Maintenance will handle the rest of this mess. The implicit message echoed through marble acoustics. Know your place. Accept your station. Never challenge our authority again. Keisha sat motionless, her back straight despite devastation. Slowly, deliberately, she reached for her leather portfolio, which had tumbled during the struggle. The lobby fell eerily quiet except for Marcus whispering to his 11,247 viewers, Mrs. Williams sobbing softly, and children asking questions their parents couldn't answer. 11:27 A.M. Patterson basked in his perceived victory, chest puffed with righteous satisfaction. I hope this experience taught you appropriate respect for professional establishments. Perhaps next time you'll think twice before embarrassing yourself in public. Keisha opened her portfolio with steady hands that betrayed no tremor of fear or defeat. Her hair lay in ruins around the chair, but her composure remained unshattered. For the first time, Patterson noticed the portfolio's expensive quality. Genuine Hermes leather, custom monogramming, executive-grade hardware. A flicker of doubt crossed his features. What's that supposed to be? Carter demanded, suspicious of any remaining dignity in her victim. Some kind of complaint form? Keisha removed a single document bearing official First National Bank letterhead. The corporate logo was clearly visible to everyone within 10 feet. David, she said quietly, using Patterson's first name with casual familiarity that froze his blood. I believe you missed yesterday's executive memo about today's surprise branch evaluations. The paper rustled in her steady grip. Patterson's face began draining color as reality prepared its terrible approach. Marcus's audience held its collective breath. 11,247 people watching justice gather its strength. 11:28 a.m. You see, Keisha continued, her voice carrying new authority that made customers lean forward in anticipation. There's something important you don't know about my visit today. The live stream comments exploded with anticipation. The marble lobby waited for revelation. Everything was about to change. 11:28 a.m. The document. Keisha's fingers moved with surgical precision as she extracted the first page from her portfolio. The First National Bank letterhead caught fluorescent lighting, its corporate seal reflecting like a mirror across the marble floor. Patterson squinted at the document, his brain struggling to process what his eyes were seeing. The words swam on the page. Quarterly branch evaluation schedule, CEO site visits. That can't be real, he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Keisha produced her executive identification card, thick plastic with embedded security features that caught light like a prism. The photograph showed her with the same professional hairstyle they'd just destroyed. Keisha Washington, Chief Executive Officer, she read aloud, her voice carrying across the silent lobby like a judge delivering a verdict. Chen stared at the ID card as if it were written in hieroglyphics. You can't be, you. The security guard, Jake, still held the clippers, his hand frozen mid-air like a statue. His eyes darted between the ID and Patterson's face, seeking guidance that would never come. 11:29 a.m. The recognition misses. Dorothy Williams gasped from her position near the teller windows. "Sweet Jesus," she whispered, her cane clattering against marble. "That's her. That's really her." Marcus's live stream audience erupted. Viewer count exploded from 11,247 to 18,634 in 60 seconds. Comments scrolled past faster than human eyes could follow. "She's the CEO? Plot twist of the century. They just assaulted their own boss." But inside the marble tomb, the perpetrators remained trapped in their expanding nightmare. Jennifer Walsh emerged from behind the teller counter, her face pale as winter snow. "Oh my God, Mr. Patterson, that's actually—" "Shut up," Patterson hissed, but his voice cracked like breaking glass. 11:30 a.m., the portfolio opens. Keisha spread additional documents across her lap with the methodical precision of a prosecutor laying out evidence. Each paper told part of a larger story, one that would destroy careers and reshape lives. Board meeting agenda. K. Washington, quarterly performance review, all Chicago branches. CEO appointment letter dated 18 months prior, signed by the board of directors. Current month's performance report showing every Chicago branch's metrics, including this one. Legal pad filled with handwritten evaluation notes in Keisha's distinctive script. Patterson's hands shook as he fumbled for his phone. "I need to call corporate headquarters. This has to be some kind of mistake." "David," Keisha's voice carried the quiet authority of someone accustomed to boardroom command, "I want you to understand something very clearly. In my 18 months as CEO, I've conducted 47 surprise branch visits across our network." She paused, letting the weight of that information settle like concrete. "This is the first time I've been physically assaulted by my own staff." 11:31 a.m. The power shift. The atmosphere in the lobby transformed like air pressure changing before a storm. Customers who'd been passive observers suddenly straightened their spines, realizing they'd witnessed something historic. Business executive Michael Thompson stepped forward, his attorney instincts fully activated. "Ma'am, I'm a civil rights lawyer. What I just observed constitutes federal crimes under Section 1983. You have multiple witnesses willing to testify." Rosa Martinez approached with her children, no longer afraid. "Senora, my husband works construction, but he knows right from wrong. This was evil, pure evil." Jake dropped the clippers onto the marble floor. They clattered like chains falling from a prisoner. "Ma'am, I was just following orders. I didn't know who you were." "That's exactly the problem," Keisha replied, her voice carrying the patience of someone explaining basic concepts to children. "You should treat every customer with dignity, regardless of their identity or position." 11:32 a.m. Corporate authority activated. Keisha retrieved her phone and activated the speaker function. Her speed dial connected to corporate headquarters within 2 rings. "Executive operations, this is Patricia." "Patricia, this is Keisha Washington. I need emergency protocols activated at the downtown Chicago branch. Document everything. Legal team on standby. Board notification immediately." The voice on the speaker carried new urgency. "Yes, ma'am. What's the nature of the emergency?" "Assault, discrimination, and multiple federal violations by senior staff. I'll need crisis management protocols and media relations immediately." Patterson and Carter exchanged glances of pure terror. Corporate headquarters, their ultimate authority, was now their judge, jury, and executioner. 11:33 a.m. The hidden truth. Marcus's stream reached 23,847 viewers. National news outlets monitored the feed. Social media algorithms pushed content across every platform. #CEO reveal trended alongside #justice for Keisha. But Keisha wasn't finished. "However," she continued, her voice dropping to conversational volume that somehow commanded more attention than shouting, "there's still one thing you don't understand about today's visit." The lobby fell silent except for the soft hum of air conditioning and distant traffic. Patterson's breathing sounded like a broken bellows. "The board of directors isn't just reviewing quarterly performance today. We're specifically investigating a documented pattern of discrimination complaints against minority customers across our Chicago branch network." Chen's face went white as hospital sheets. There haven't been any complaints." "Sarah," Keisha's voice carried the patience of a teacher correcting a slow student. We've received 47 formal complaints about this branch alone in the past 6 months. 47 customers reported discriminatory treatment based on race, appearance, or perceived economic status. She opened another section of her portfolio, revealing a thick stack of complaint forms. Mrs. Dorothy Williams filed 3 separate reports. Marcus Johnson, she nodded toward the young man still live streaming, submitted documentation about his grandmother's treatment here last month. Michael Thompson's law firm forwarded 6 client complaints to our legal department. 11:34 a.m., the witnesses stepped forward, Mrs. Williams nodded vigorously, tears streaming down weathered cheeks. I tried to tell them, honey. I tried to warn them about how they treat our people. Marcus lowered his phone slightly, addressing Keisha directly for the first time. My grandmother said they made her wait 2 hours for a simple deposit while white customers got immediate service. Michael Thompson pulled out his business card. My firm represents a class action lawsuit against this branch. We've been building our case for months. The evidence surrounded Patterson and Carter like rising floodwater. Every witness, every complaint, every documented incident formed an unbreakable chain of institutional discrimination. 11:35 a.m., the final revelation. Patterson's phone rang. Corporate headquarters. He fumbled to answer, his hands shaking like autumn leaves. David, this is Board Chair Dr. Patricia Reynolds. We're monitoring social media reports about your branch. What's your status? The speaker carried her voice across the marble lobby for all to hear. Dr. Reynolds, Keisha interjected calmly, this is CEO Washington. I'm conducting the branch evaluation we discussed yesterday. Unfortunately, I've been physically assaulted by Mr. Patterson's staff while documenting systemic discrimination practices. Silence stretched across phone lines like taut wire. Keisha, are you injured? Should we call emergency services? I'm unharmed, but my appearance has been altered. We'll need full crisis management protocols and immediate legal consultation. Marcus's live stream audience watched the corporate power shift in real time. The people who'd held absolute authority 60 seconds ago now faced the consequences of their choices. Patterson slumped against a marble column like a deflated balloon. Carter stared at her hands as if they belonged to someone else. Jake stood frozen, still processing how completely their world had changed. 11:36 a.m. Now, Keisha continued, organizing her papers with the methodical precision of someone preparing for war. Let's discuss how we're going to address this situation appropriately. The live stream comments exploded with anticipation. Justice was finally preparing to arrive. 11:36 a.m., board conference activated. Keisha activated her phone's conference feature, her voice carrying the calm authority of someone who'd navigated corporate battlefields for decades. Dr. Reynolds, I'm placing you on speaker so our staff and witnesses can participate in this discussion. The boardroom quality speakerphone filled First National's marble lobby with voices that wielded billion-dollar decisions daily. Board Chair Dr. Patricia Reynolds here. Director James Morrison and Director Angela Foster are also present. Legal counsel Rebecca Martinez is joining us remotely. Keisha, we're monitoring social media coverage in real time. The situation appears unprecedented. Marcus's live stream hit 31,492 viewers and climbed. Comments exploded faster than servers could process them. National news outlets assigned reporters. Cable news legal experts provided real-time analysis across networks. Board members, Keisha continued, her professional demeanor unshaken despite her destroyed appearance. You're now hearing live audio from our downtown Chicago branch evaluation. What you're about to learn represents systematic failures requiring immediate corporate intervention. Patterson pressed himself against the marble column like a trapped animal. Sweat beaded across his forehead despite the building's climate control. His expensive suit couldn't hide the fear radiating from every pore. Chen stood frozen near the customer service area, her manicured hands trembling as she processed the magnitude of her mistake. The clippers lay scattered on marble floors like evidence at a crime scene. 11:37 a.m. Financial Impact Assessment. Keisha opened her performance reports with surgical precision, each statistic calculated to destroy careers and reshape institutional culture. This branch generates $47.2 million in annual deposits, representing 12% of our Chicago metropolitan market share. We maintain 3,847 active business accounts with a combined asset value exceeding $2.3 billion. Her voice carried across marble acoustics with crystal clarity. In the past 27 minutes, your staff has physically assaulted me while live streaming to over 31,000 viewers across multiple social media platforms. Director Morrison's voice crackled through the speaker with growing urgency. Keisha, our stock monitoring systems are showing immediate market impact. Share price down 4.7% and falling. Can you confirm the assault allegations for our legal team? Confirmed and documented. I was physically restrained while staff used electric clippers to cut my hair without consent. Multiple witnesses present, including customers, security cameras, and continuous digital documentation streaming live to tens of thousands of viewers. Legal counsel Martinez interjected. This constitutes federal civil rights violations under Section 1983, potential criminal assault charges, and massive corporate liability. We need immediate damage control. 11:38 a.m. Individual Performance Breakdown Board Chair. Reynolds's voice hardened like cooling steel. Keisha, identify the specific individuals involved so we can take appropriate action. Keisha's eyes moved across the lobby like a prosecutor identifying defendants. Branch Manager Sarah Carter initiated and performed the physical assault. Regional Manager David Patterson authorized and supervised the action. Security guard Jake Rodriguez provided physical restraint, enabling the attack. Each name landed like a judicial sentence. Carter's face went ashen as her career ended in real time. Patterson gripped his phone so tightly his knuckles showed white against tan skin. Jake stared at the floor, understanding his professional life was dissolving before his eyes. Patterson's region shows a 23% decline in minority customer retention over the past 6 months, Keisha continued, consulting her detailed evaluation notes. Chen's customer satisfaction scores averaged 2.1 out of 5 among black customers, compared to 4.6 among white clientele. She flipped through additional documentation. Rodriguez has 3 documented discrimination incidents in his personnel file, including complaints filed by customers, Dorothy Williams, Marcus Johnson's grandmother, and attorney Michael Thompson's clients. The statistics built an unassailable case. Numbers didn't lie, make excuses, or plead for mercy. 11:39 a.m., market response and competitor analysis. Director Foster's voice carried the urgency of someone watching millions evaporate. Keisha, our share price has now dropped 6.2% since social media coverage began. High-frequency trading algorithms are triggering automatic sell-offs based on hashtag sentiment analysis. Marcus whispered to his 37,168 viewers. Y'all, they're losing millions of dollars by the minute because of this live stream. This is real-time corporate consequences. J.P. Morgan Chase released a statement 15 minutes ago. Morrison added grimly. They're offering immediate account transfers with waived fees for any First National customers. Bank of America launched a social media campaign about inclusive banking practices. They're positioning themselves as ethical alternatives. Customer Service Director James Liu patched into the conference call with devastating updates. We're receiving immediate account closure requests at unprecedented rates. The hashtags #banking while black and #justice for Keisha is driving significant customer flight across all our Chicago branches. How significant? Reynolds demanded. Preliminary numbers show 47 account closures in the past 30 minutes, combined asset value $12.3 million, and accelerating. 11:40 a.m., legal framework and federal implications. Keisha shifted into her corporate law background, each violation precisely categorized for maximum legal impact and institutional accountability. Federal violations include Equal Credit Opportunity Act infractions, Title VII workplace discrimination, Americans with Disabilities Act considerations regarding assault victims, and civil rights violations under Section 1983. State charges include Illinois Civil Rights Act infractions, criminal assault under state penal code, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. She consulted additional notes. Corporate policy breaches include Section 4.7.3 of our employee handbook regarding customer treatment, Section 2.1 regarding discrimination protocols, and Section 8.4 concerning physical contact with customers. Michael Thompson stepped forward, his attorney credentials adding credibility to the developing federal case. As legal counsel specializing in civil rights litigation, I can confirm these actions constitute multiple federal crimes. Based on recent precedents in similar corporate discrimination cases, civil damages could exceed $10 million before punitive awards. Patterson's phone slipped from trembling hands, clattering against marble like breaking bones. The sound echoed through the lobby's cathedral acoustics. Mrs. Dorothy Williams approached with her cane tapping rhythmically against marble. "Young lady, in 40 years of banking here, I've never seen anyone stand up like this. You're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for all of us." 11:41 a.m., the Corporate Ultimatum Board Chair. Reynolds' voice carried the finality of corporate judgment. "Keisha, based on your assessment and our real-time analysis of market impact, what immediate actions do you recommend to address this crisis?" The question transformed victim into prosecutor, assault survivor into corporate executioner with complete institutional authority. "Non-negotiable disciplinary requirements," Keisha began, her voice echoing off cathedral ceilings to reach every person in the building. Sarah Carter, immediate termination for assault, discrimination, and gross misconduct. No severance package, no professional references, banking certifications flagged for state regulatory review. Chen collapsed into a customer chair, her career disintegrating like sandcastles at high tide. 23 years of banking experience ended with one decision to humiliate the wrong person. David Patterson, 90-day unpaid suspension pending complete investigation, mandatory 40-hour diversity and inclusion training, 100 hours community service at local civil rights organizations, public apology required at next monthly community business forum. Patterson's breathing became labored, each word sealing his professional fate. His mortgage payments, car loans, and country club membership flashed through his mind like a drowning man's final thoughts. Jake Rodriguez, immediate reassignment to administrative role with no customer contact, required completion of bias recognition certification, mandatory victim impact counseling sessions, comprehensive review of all body camera footage by third-party investigators. 11:42 a.m., systematic institutional reform, corporate-wide policy implementation, Keisha continued, her executive authority reshaping institutional culture in real time across hundreds of branches. Immediate adoption of dignity-first customer service protocols, zero-tolerance discrimination policies with automatic suspension triggers, AI-powered interaction monitoring systems, and mandatory monthly unconscious bias training for all customer-facing staff. Director Morrison's voice carried newfound respect. Full authorization granted. Legal and HR teams will draft implementation guidelines within 24 hours. Additionally, Keisha added, third-party discrimination audits across all Chicago branches within 30 days. Customer advocate programs for vulnerable populations, anonymous discrimination reporting systems, and algorithmic bias monitoring of all customer interactions. Legal counsel Martinez interjected, "These reforms exceed federal requirements and industry standards. They'll become the new benchmark for banking sector accountability." The transformation was happening live on social media. Corporate accountability in the digital age, witnessed by tens of thousands, documented forever in the blockchain of social consciousness. 11:43 a.m., consequences and enforcement. Failure to comply with any of these directives results in immediate termination without severance, industry-wide professional blacklisting, personal legal liability for civil rights violations, and criminal prosecution for assault-related charges. Jake slumped into a chair beside Carter, both understanding their lives had changed irrevocably. Their names would forever be associated with corporate discrimination in the digital age. Furthermore, Keisha continued with prosecutorial precision, corporate liability includes potential federal civil rights investigations, class action lawsuit exposure, regulatory sanctions from banking authorities, and comprehensive reviews of our banking licenses by state financial oversight bodies. The financial and legal consequences stretched beyond individual careers into institutional survival. One branch's actions threatened the entire corporate structure. The digital record of this incident provides unassailable evidence for any legal proceedings, Keisha noted, acknowledging Marcus's stream that had documented everything. 43,000 witnesses observed the assault and its aftermath through social media. No court in America will question the authenticity or completeness of this documentation. 11:45 a.m. Board Resolution and Implementation. Dr. Reynolds's voice carried the weight of corporate finality. The board unanimously endorses CEO Washington's assessment and directives. All recommended disciplinary measures are approved for immediate implementation. The crisis management team receives unlimited authority and emergency budget allocation. What's our implementation timeline? Director Foster demanded. Staff disciplinary actions are effective immediately. Public statements and apologies within 2 hours. Complete investigation report within 72 hours. Corporate policy changes across all branches within 30 days. Marcus's stream reached 48,329 viewers as justice unfolded in real time. Comments celebrated victory while legal experts analyzed precedent-setting corporate accountability. Patterson slumped against the marble column in complete defeat. Carter stared at her hands, processing the end of everything she'd built over decades. Jake sat motionless, understanding that choices carried consequences in the digital age. 11:46 a.m., the path forward. Now, Keisha concluded, organizing her papers with the methodical precision of someone preparing for institutional reconstruction, let's discuss comprehensive prevention strategies to ensure this never happens to anyone, anywhere in our organization ever again. The showdown was complete, but the real work was just beginning. Punishment addressed the past, but reform would build the future. 12 p.m., immediate disciplinary action security arrived within minutes of the board's decision. Not bank security, corporate security from headquarters, professionals who understood the gravity of federal civil rights violations. Sarah Carter was escorted from the building like a common criminal. Her 23 years of banking experience reduced to a cardboard box of personal belongings and a lifetime ban from the financial industry. The woman who'd wielded clippers like weapons now faced unemployment, legal liability, and professional disgrace. "Miss Carter," the lead security officer announced formally, "you're required to surrender all bank property, access cards, and client information immediately. Legal counsel advises you to secure independent representation for pending civil and criminal proceedings." Chen's hands shook as she cleaned out her desk drawers. Photos of her daughter's graduation, awards for customer service excellence, commendations for community involvement, all meaningless now. Her banking certifications would be flagged by state regulators. Her professional references evaporated. 23 years of career advancement destroyed by 20 minutes of cruelty. David Patterson received 90 days to contemplate his choices. Unpaid suspension meant mortgage payments from savings, explaining to his wife why their country club membership was canceled, watching colleagues avoid his calls. The man who'd authorized assault now faced financial uncertainty and professional isolation. "Mr. Patterson," Corporate HR Director Linda Carter announced via conference call, "you'll complete 40 hours of sensitivity training at the Chicago Urban League, perform 100 hours of community service at local civil rights organizations, and deliver a public apology at next month's Community Business Forum. Failure to comply results in immediate termination." 12:15 p.m., Jake Rodriguez's reckoning. Jake faced the hardest reckoning of all. His military background had taught him to follow orders, but civilian law required personal accountability. The hands that had restrained Keisha now trembled as he signed reassignment papers. "Mr. Rodriguez," the corporate representative explained, "you're transferred to administrative duties pending completion of bias recognition certification. You'll attend victim impact counseling to understand how your actions affected Miss Washington and our customers." Mrs. Dorothy Williams approached Jake with her cane tapping against marble. At 73, she'd witnessed enough injustice to recognize genuine remorse. "Son," she said quietly, "you made a terrible choice, but choice means you can choose differently next time. Don't waste this opportunity to become better." Jake nodded, unable to speak. Her forgiveness hurt more than condemnation would have. 12:30 p.m., systematic policy revolution. Keisha activated her laptop in the branch manager's former office, now serving as temporary command center for institutional transformation. Her scarred scalp caught fluorescent lighting as she worked, each patchy section reminding her why change was necessary. The Dignity First protocol launched across all 247 First National branches within hours. Every customer interaction would begin with respect, not assessment of worth based on appearance, accent, or perceived economic status. AI-powered bias detection systems will monitor every customer interaction, Keisha explained to the crisis management team via video conference. Real-time alerts will notify supervisors of potentially discriminatory language or behavior patterns. The technology was revolutionary. Algorithms analyzed voice stress, conversation patterns, wait times, and service quality differences between customer demographics. Bias couldn't hide behind politeness when data revealed discriminatory patterns. Marcus continued streaming as corporate transformation unfolded in real time. His audience, now 52,847 viewers, watched justice become institutionalized policy. "Y'all, this isn't just punishment," he explained to his followers. "She's literally rebuilding how banks treat people. This is systematic change happening live." 12:45 p.m. Training and Cultural Transformation. Every First National employee would complete 16 hours of cultural competency training within 30 days. Not corporate videos about avoiding lawsuits, but intensive workshops led by civil rights organizations, community leaders, and discrimination survivors. Monthly unconscious bias sessions will be mandatory, Keisha announced during the all-staff video conference. External facilitators will help identify and address prejudices that affect customer service quality. The training included virtual reality scenarios, experiencing discrimination from the victim's perspective. Employees would literally walk in their customers' shoes, understanding how casual prejudice felt when you were the target. Community liaison programs connected each branch with local minority organizations. Bank employees would volunteer in communities they served, breaking down barriers through personal relationships rather than institutional mandates. 1 p.m. Legal Framework and Accountability. Michael Thompson worked with Keisha's legal team to establish precedent-setting accountability measures. The incident would become a case study for federal civil rights enforcement and corporate responsibility in the digital age. "We're establishing the Washington Protocol," Thompson explained to gathered reporters. "Comprehensive documentation, immediate disciplinary action, systematic reform, and community engagement. Other corporations should adopt these standards voluntarily before they're required by law." The protocol included victim compensation beyond legal requirements. Keisha donated her personal settlement to establish the Dignity Banking Scholarship Fund, supporting underrepresented students pursuing finance careers. Federal banking regulators used the incident to update discrimination guidelines industry-wide. 47 banks voluntarily adopted First National's reforms to avoid similar crises. 1:15 p.m. Technology and Innovation. The bias detection system became First National's competitive advantage. Customer satisfaction scores improved across all demographics as discriminatory behavior disappeared under algorithmic oversight. Anonymous reporting systems allowed customers to flag discriminatory treatment without fear of retaliation. Quarterly bias audits identified problem areas before they became federal cases. Customer advocate programs will provide additional support for vulnerable populations, Keisha announced. Elderly customers, non-native English speakers, and individuals with disabilities receive specialized assistance, ensuring equal access to financial services. The innovation attracted positive media attention, offsetting damage from the discrimination incident. First National became known for inclusion rather than exclusion. 1:30 p.m. Community Investment and Healing, Rosa Martinez, approached Keisha as corporate reorganization continued around them. Her 2 children held handmade cards, thanking Keisha for standing up to mean people. "Senora," Rosa said in accented English, "my husband's construction business couldn't get a loan here before. Maybe now things will change?" Keisha smiled, the first genuine expression since entering the bank 4 hours earlier. "Rosa, bring your husband's business plan tomorrow. We have new small business lending programs specifically designed for underrepresented entrepreneurs. The $2.3 million Minority Business Loan Initiative launched within weeks. Local communities that had been excluded from traditional banking found new opportunities for economic advancement. Mrs. Dorothy Williams became the program's first success story. Her grandson's food truck business, previously rejected 3 times, receive startup funding under the new equity lending protocols. 1:45 p.m. Personal transformation and growth. Keisha stood before the bathroom mirror, examining her reflection honestly. The uneven patches where her hair had been cut would take months to repair. But the woman looking back seemed stronger, more purposeful. She decided to keep her hair short during the healing process, not from shame, but as a reminder of strength through adversity. The scars would fade, but the lessons would remain permanent. Her speaking calendar is filled with requests from corporate boards, university business programs, and civil rights organizations. The woman who'd been assaulted for her appearance became a national symbol of dignified resistance and systematic change. 2 p.m. Measurable results. 6 months later, First National Bank achieved transformation that seemed impossible during those dark moments in the marble lobby. Customer satisfaction among minority clients increased from 2.1 to 4.7 out of 5.0. Employee retention improved 45% as discrimination complaints dropped to 0. The branch that had assaulted its own CEO became the highest-rated location for diversity and inclusion. Financial performance improved 18% as expanded customer base generated new revenue streams. Stock prices recovered and reached all-time highs within 4 months. Industry analysts cited the dignity dividend, proof that ethical behavior generated sustainable profits. Marcus's original live stream became required viewing in business ethics courses. Harvard Business School developed case studies. International banking conferences featured the Washington Protocol as revolutionary corporate accountability. 2:15 p.m. Legacy of Change. The marble lobby where Keisha had been humiliated now displayed a bronze plaque. Dignity first, committed to equal treatment for all customers. Children pointed at it during school trips, learning that justice sometimes arrived through corporate boardrooms rather than courtrooms. Her destroyed hair had grown back stronger, healthier. The photos from that terrible day remained in her office, not as painful memories, but as motivation to ensure no one else endured similar degradation. True victory hadn't come from destroying her attackers, but from building systems that protected future victims. Intellectual triumph over institutional prejudice, systematic change over personal revenge. The work continued, but the foundation was solid. 6 months later, complete transformation. Keisha Washington stood before the same marble lobby where her dignity had been stripped away, but everything had changed. The bronze plaque reading "Dignity First, Equal Treatment for All Customers" caught morning sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Her hair had grown back naturally, stronger and healthier than before. She wore it in a confident twist-out that bounced as she walked, the same style that had triggered such hatred 6 months earlier. Now it represents triumph over institutional prejudice. The branch buzzed with diverse energy. Rosa Martinez's husband discussed his construction loan expansion with a bilingual advisor. Mrs. Dorothy Williams deposited her grandson's food truck profits while staff treated her like family. Marcus Johnson opened his first business account, live streaming the positive experience to followers who'd watched his original documentation of injustice, personal legacy, and growth. The woman who'd been forced into a chair and humiliated now commanded respect in corporate boardrooms across America. Speaking engagements filled her calendar: Harvard Business School, Chicago Urban League, National Banking Association conferences. Her Harvard Business Review article, "Dignity as Corporate Strategy," became required reading in MBA programs. Netflix purchased documentary rights to her story. International banking conferences featured the Washington Protocol as revolutionary accountability standards. But the most meaningful changes happened quietly. She mentored 127 young black professionals entering finance careers. Her scholarship fund, now $3.2 million, supported underrepresented students at Howard, Spelman, and Northwestern business schools. The photos from her assault remained framed in her office, not as painful memories, but as reminders that individual courage could create institutional transformation. Societal impact and cultural shift. First National Bank became the gold standard for inclusive banking. Customer satisfaction among minority clients reached 4.8 out of 5.0. Employee diversity increased 67% as the company attracted talent seeking meaningful work environments. 847 banks voluntarily adopted similar dignity-first policies to avoid their own viral disasters. Federal regulators updated discrimination guidelines based on Keisha's case. Business schools taught corporate accountability using her systematic response as the template. The original live stream reached 2.3 million views across platforms. #DignityFirst became a global movement extending beyond banking into retail, healthcare, and education. Corporate America recognized new standards for crisis management and social responsibility. Community empowerment and healing. Local Chicago communities that had been excluded from traditional banking found new economic opportunities. Minority business loan applications increased 78%. Small entrepreneurs who'd been rejected for decades suddenly accessed capital for growth. The branch where discrimination once flourished became a model for community investment. Financial literacy workshops served underrepresented populations. Mobile banking units reached areas with limited access. Partnership with HBCUs created internship pipelines. Children on field trips pointed at the bronze plaque, learning that justice sometimes arrived through persistence and strategic thinking rather than violence or revenge. The enduring message. Keisha's transformation of personal humiliation into systematic change proved that dignity is non-negotiable. When institutions fail to protect human worth, individuals with courage and strategy can create lasting justice benefiting everyone. True power lay not in destroying opponents, but in building systems that prevented future victims. Her response demonstrated how intellectual victory over institutional prejudice creates more sustainable change than retaliation or revenge. Your voice matters. Have you witnessed or experienced discrimination that made you question your worth? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters. Your experience helps others find strength. Your courage could be the catalyst someone needs to demand the dignity they deserve. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to remember their power. Tag a friend in customer service, management, or corporate leadership. Sometimes we need reminding that treating others with dignity isn't just morally right, it's smart business. Subscribe to Black Soul Stories for more accounts of resilience, transformation, and triumph over adversity. Hit the notification bell to join our community where every voice is valued, every story matters, and every subscriber helps us reach someone who needs hope. Join our weekly Thursday discussions exploring real solutions to workplace discrimination. Together, we're building a world where everyone's dignity is protected and respected, because your story could change everything.